Hello and welcome to this week's episode of That Real Estate Tech Guy. I'm your host, Jordan Samuel Fleming. And this week, I am delighted to welcome my friend Glen Petersen from Bateman Collective. Now, Bateman Collective are really well known in the real estate game as being amazing digital marketing gurus, really data centric digital marketing gurus, and amazing for the PPC side and the SEO side of things. This was a really fun conversation because Glenn's got a long, long history in digital marketing, marketing itself. And so he's able to give a lot of context of how the landscape has evolved. And we're able to dive into, how you can get started within the digital marketing journey, where you should be focused, and some of the pitfalls they see, and why sometimes they have to turn people away, right? People who aren't ready to turn on the digital marketing tap because they don't have the back end support that makes sure that they're going to get the full benefit from those leads. And Glenn really gives a great insight into some of the current trends on PPC, how SEO is evolving with AI and AI searching, and really kind of navigates that whole kind of the whole kind of landscape there, and gives us a lot of I felt like I was in a Google Maps session where he was guiding me, right, giving me the exact directions of where I need to go. They also have a great opportunity for anybody who wants to investigate how they can go forward with this digital marketing, and they have audits for both PPC and SEO that they give away for free. So if you're kind of thinking, am I ready for this? You can find out from Bateman Collective and see if you are ready to move forward in digital marketing. So, really great episode for anybody who's thinking, how do I up my game, get more leads, get more deals going? Glenn gives a masterclass, and you're going to really learn a lot because I learned a lot. So, without further ado, let's get directly to my conversation with Glen Petersen from Bateman Collective. And I am live with Glen Petersen from Bateman Collective. Glen, welcome to the podcast. Give everybody a little bit of a sense of who you are and who Bateman Collective is.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, first and foremost. So my name's Glen Petersen. I've actually been in marketing for a long time. I started my career a long time ago in traditional marketing, like newspaper, billboards, stuff like that. And after not having any attribution, I hated it. So I ended up finding digital marketing 11 years ago and fell in love with digital marketing. Through it, I fell in love specifically with PPC most, and so then I moved to I was doing it in-house at a company, and then I went to a PPC agency for the last 10 years. And then I recently switched over to Bateman. And so through my last role, like I've been to Google headquarters, I've met with Google executives. We spent $13 million a month on between Google and Bing. It was just crazy what we did there. So I have a lot of experience in Google specifically, but of course Bing and Facebook and the other world of PPC as well. But yeah, I've been doing that. I've been doing it for years. And then I came to Bateman 5 months ago. And all the reason I came to Bateman, I'll tell you more about Bateman, is I love the data. We'll talk a bit about data and how important it is. I think it is to this world, but the way that Bateman looks at the data is just incredible. And if you've ever met Brandon, our CEO, he just has one of those data brains that he thrives off of it. So I love it. But yeah, Bateman Collective, what we are is mainly PPC and SEO. SEO, PPC includes Google, Bing, Facebook, while SEO includes like AI, making sure you're ranking on AI as well as just ranking on Google and organically in your other means that are out there. And then we do websites, but that's more when we run into a client who really needs to improve their presence online and don't have a good website. That's when we build websites. We don't like go out and reach out for it. And Bateman has about 200 clients, and all in the real estate investment industry. We don't have any clients outside of that. We just love to focus on the industry, make it so we can just build the product to be the very best for the real estate investment industry.
Fantastic. And before we get kind of dive into some of the things you mentioned, you did give me a flashback when you said print media to back in the day when we used to work on a Yellow Pages ads, right? And and the guys who used to design Yellow Pages ads, like they were ninjas when it came to building ads because they didn't have any time at all. So it's like If they had to build 20 ads for the yellow pages because the sales guys got a rush on, they were doing those turnaround ads in like an hour,
Yeah.
and they were chopping and changing them, and it just immediately took me back to that kind of rapid fire design stage that the yellow pages brought us all back when there was a yellow pages.
I did newspaper was one of the biggest ones, and I had a section that was very similar to that, where it was just like bust out a few ads into this one section as quick as I could.
So, I mean, you mentioned a lot of things there. I want to specifically make sure that we dive into a couple things. I want to make sure we dive into the AI search bit and get some insight in that because I think that's something that people are starting to realize, but they don't know enough about.
Yeah.
Let's start a bit with that sort of PPC element first, which and you know what I see when I speak to a lot of the real estate people that we have a similar avatar of company. We work with same type of people. I see a lot of chatter about how much more PPC is costing them right now and how difficult it is to navigate. Is that true? Like, has there been a big change over the last 24, 12 months? What's the state right now?
Yeah, I would say that it's become a much more competitive landscape, as well as everything is increasing in cost. I mean, with inflation and everything. So, but Google's following along suit. We're actually working on a class action lawsuit with Google because they had been raising cost per click too high, and they were overinflating their numbers, and so a lot of our clients are actually joining us in that fight with Google. Against Google, unfortunately, it's kind of a funny thing, but because they were overinflating their cost per click. And we've seen it. Yeah, the cost per lead is actually increasing in certain realms, but it is because Google has new products, ways that they want to do it, that you're going to have to follow suit, or else you're going to have to pay a little bit more. And I would say overall cost per lead has typically increased, but there are a lot of things that people don't realize. That cost per acquisition cost, like the client acquisition cost, has actually decreased a little bit, but it is because of the AI algorithms that Google has actually improved our quality if you do it right. Now, there are people who don't do it right, whether they do it themselves or go with agencies who don't focus on the right thing, and that is where the cost goes crazy. But we even see there are some markets, some people that just still Google is pretty expensive overall, more expensive than it ever has been for them too, even in customer acquisition costs. But I would say right now it's kind of unfortunately growing as our inflation and cost of everything's increasing.
And I mean, if you are given you've got such a long history in this sort of space, you'll have seen trends and you'll have seen things happen. One of the things that I get told or I get asked a lot, by investors who are starting to try and scale up,
Yeah.
is I'm a bit nervous about investing in this. How do I get started? And how do I get started? One and what is my expectation for commitment? Because commitment is something you need usually in marketing. It's
Yep.
rare, very rare that there are marketing channels that are immediate hits. They get you everything you want and you can shut off. It's a commitment. So can you talk us through, what a realistic approach is to this sort of lead generation if you are thinking about starting it?
Yeah, actually, the crazy thing is, Bateman, we do turn around a decent amount of business because they're not ready. They don't have the right things set up. They aren't focusing on the correct things. And so it would waste their money. And so we're like, hey, you know what? Go fix these things and then come back and talk to us because that is a problem. A lot of things that we actually see are missing is strong CRMs, strong processes in sales specifically, and then actually some kind of tracking, some kind of follow up. Those things are not set up. And so they're like just people who he's answering the phone and he's on job sites on his fix and flips. And he thinks he can answer all of these leads that are coming in a timely manner. He can follow up, stuff like that. And so that is the problem is we think that we need to have proper setup. You need to have like your business really organized. help getting it from providers like you guys who actually have strong follow-up, who do have strong tracking of these clients and how they are flowing through your funnels. When we don't see that is when we are never successful. I guess I shouldn't say never. If we have like a couple one-off where suddenly they just have it day one, but I'd say that setup is critical for a company.
Well, and to your exact point, what's the point of me turning the tap on if you don't have a glass ready to catch it?
Yep.
And so many times I see people wait, thing that drives me nuts is when people pay for marketing, they pay for leads, they do that effort, and then they let those leads die, either because of lack of proper follow-up or lack of immediate ability to action the leads, right? Like if you get a lead, get on that lead. And then if you have a lead, follow up on that lead. Those two things are not rocket science, but if you don't do it, what is the point of spending money and, essentially pissing it away? So when you uh to your point, to get prepared, if we were going to give someone a sort of 3-minute preparation guide of these are the things that you need to make sure you have in place before you start spending money on this sort of lead gen, what would your 3 minutes be?
3 minutes, definitely ensuring that your data connections are all combined and they're all flowing through everywhere. And what I mean by that is if your CRM isn't speaking to your phone system, speaking to Google, we even have all of our CRMs pushing back into Google. So it does know what's quality, what isn't. So really the data alignment is one of the top things. And then the lead flow. I mean, like your lead flow, whether it is typically CRMs are the best places for that lead flow because you can actually then see what stage and everything it is through, getting those things set up, and then the team understanding the difference in the lead types too. There's two different types of leads, and that is demand generation, which is like a cold call, a cold text, mailer. You're creating that demand, while we're a demand capture where people are reaching out and saying they're interested instead of you having to convince them to be interested or you having to go find them. They're looking for you. And so they are different lead types and they are different messaging, different kind of urgency on these as well. And so speed to lead, like you were mentioning, is critical. We have people who they'll talk to us and they're like, it's not working. And I'm like, you have an hour speed to lead time. They've reached out to two other companies because they didn't hear back, or sometimes they'll go submit two or three because they want a bunch of offers. But really, if you're one of the first ones and you're a really good offer for them, speed to lead becomes one of the top most underrated things in this industry is what we've seen for our PPC leads.
I think that's such a great point. It's funny. I'll send you a video after this podcast. I just shot a video today, showing one of our smartphone voice agents answering a call and qualifying, establishing motivation, establishing property deals, everything you'd want, right? And answering every call on the first ring 24/7. And like to your point, like if someone's reaching out to you, you gotta be picking up that call or you've got to be actioning that lead quickly. If they're showing that they want to hear from you, you gotta jump on that. And like to me, that would be a cardinal sin. Spending money, getting someone reaching out, raising their hand and saying, "Man, I want to speak to you,"
Yeah.
and not actually getting in touch with them right away.
I actually just came from a mastermind event. Got in at 11:40 last night, and me and a few other service providers were talking with an investor, and he was saying, he's like, I have my people answering PPC calls at 11 p.m. on Saturdays. I don't care; they're always available. And I'm standing there with somebody who it does have like an AI bot that does answer it for when they are off, and he's like, we have such great data on just even AI bots being better or at least better than it going to a voicemail. But it's your type of system is actually ideal when they can have somebody who they do talk to immediately and it does set up that appointment, changes the game for these companies.
It's absolutely critical. And voicemail just absolutely kills the entire momentum of a
Yes.
possible lead. And if you're spending money, like my message to anybody listening is if you're going to spend money on marketing, you better damn well make sure that when that marketing lands you something, that you can pick it up and run with that ball. Otherwise, stop spending money
Yeah.
because you are wasting it, and you bet you might as well spend it on something you're going to actually action, right? I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah. And that's exactly one of the data points that I like about Bateman is we look at beyond the point of lead because at my old agency, like we most cared about getting to the lead. And occasionally there were some companies that were beyond that. But then we look at it and we see like, oh, actually it's your contract fallout rate is huge, is bad in your industry compared to others. There's so many factors beyond it. And we can start identifying, oh, your speed to lead is brutal. Your follow up is not great, or you don't even have strong closers because you have strong appointment rates, but they're not even making offers on these, or they're making offers and they're not closing these. So, what's that gap? And those data points are what just really changed the game.
now I'm sorry to interrupt this amazing conversation, but I wanted to make sure you knew that Smartphone, the only phone system built for real estate investors, connects to the best-in-class real estate investing CRMs. And because, as it's my show and I am co-founder and chairman of Smartphone, I got some great deals for you. Click the link and take advantage of 5,000 minutes free calling with Smartphone, the only phone system built for real estate investors. Click and call. Close more leads. Back to the show. So do you guys, like, that's great. Like, that depth is not what I normally see from a provider like you guys. Like, that is a depth, being able to identify, hey man, you're getting great conversion here, but you're getting lots of appointments, but you're not getting a lot of contracts, you're not putting a lot of offers out. That's where a disconnect is, right? If you've got a huge amount of appointments and no offers,
Yeah.
there's a disconnect there. So
Yep.
you guys actually go to that level of depth. Is that, like almost in a sales consultancy point of view, or like how do you navigate that with most of your customers?
So we actually have dashboards that what we have is our clients go in and actually update every single lead they get from us, where it made it to inside of their funnel beyond our point. And then we actually backtrack, create all the data into a dashboard so that way we can see it. And yes, we actually watch every single step and then we compare it to our hundreds of other clients. And so then we say, well, the national average is this kind like 25% contract fallout rate. You're at 45. What is happening in this? And we actually track it all the way to revenue. We want to get to profit, but of course, there's so many other factors in profit that is so hard to track that we track it to a revenue point, and so that way we're telling you here's your return on investment all the way to revenue number that we can find, and so we are adamant about our clients filling that out. The funny thing is, then we re-import that into Google too. We actually say, hey, this became a contract or this made us this much revenue. So that way it actually learns what kind of users are more likely to become a contract too. And so our quality gets better. Funny enough is we have about 10%, 10 to 15% of our clients who aren't good at showing us what happens after the lead stage, and they have worse results. It's like, we get suddenly, just by them reporting that, we get suddenly better results because we're teaching Google's algorithm what is best, or we can identify some gaps in their systems and we're like, oh, hey, this is missing. How are you guys doing? How come you're doing so much worse here? And then they can almost fix their internal processes.
And it's such a virtuous circle. When you're feeding that data back, we do that a lot with some of our data provider partners, where they'll be providing lead data to our customers who will then call, say they're providing skip trace data or lists, they'll then call them and we'll feed back whether that number was correct or not. We'll feed this information back because that virtuous circle just makes everybody's data better. It refines everything, and you're doing that same kind of virtuous circle with the data that you're gathering so that you can get your quality can continue to improve.
Yep, yep, that's a big thing that we love. And in that mastermind I just came from, Gary from Sharper we were all in a service provider room, and we started talking about how we're going to, in out of service providers, we want to normalize each phase of those steps, like what the percentage should be. And so that way we can identify, hey, we're pulling our weight with the rates of leads coming in, but we can see that you're having this fallout here. And so then they can actually say, okay, industry average amongst all service providers too, not just who you're with. So then you know if your service provider is keeping up with even the industry average, and we're trying to normalize a lot of this messaging. I know we're going to talk with you, Jordan, in person when we have our upcoming service provider mastermind, but it was a huge topic of conversation for everyone. Is that, yeah, then you connect, it just makes it better for the end user.
100%. And I really believe in that level, that partnership of data flow, like in the same way when we connect, we don't connect with every CRM out there. We connect with a set number of them, and we deeply connect to make sure that we're pushing and pulling data in the right way. And that is important because when, from my perspective, if every call that you make, every text message, every AI agent call, if everything is synced seamlessly to every lead in your CRM, you see the full picture, you have the metrics, you understand it's taken, how many calls. I always say, like, look, you're say you've got three different types say you're marketing in three areas and you're running a probate campaign in all three, as an example.
Yeah.
And if you're tracking every element down to how many calls does it take to get these people? How many, how much effort, how much time, human time does it take to land these deals? If you understand that, you may find that you make a decision not based on just the amount of income you get from a lead source, but actually how much profit you're making because it's costing you a lot less money in time to win these deals. So yeah, you may do slightly less volume of deals over here, but you're making more profit on them. And I'll take more profit every day of the week rather than spending a lot of money to make a very little amount of profit. But you only get that if you have the data and if it all syncs together, which is exactly what you started with.
Yeah, when people don't realize the profit number, I mean, because revenue number is great, but it's not profit. Even when
It's vanity, as we always used to say, right? Revenue is vanity, profit is sanity. That's the simple truth.
It's so true. At one of the Google events that I actually took a bunch of clients to Google about a year and a half ago, and the executive said, if you can find profit numbers and put that into Google, that's where you're going to find the most success too. And of course, profit is so many factors to it, but even at these events, people who don't know their profit numbers are the least successful because you're going to see giant numbers and then you'll see their ROI on things are horrible. But if you can go detail it out by actual lead type or every single thing, then you can actually understand what is the biggest factors in your profit and what's the biggest detractors. And that's really what we care about.
Absolutely. Now, let's pivot slightly to AI, since
Yeah.
that's, I think we're contractually obliged to use the term AI in every conversation we have nowadays.
Yes.
I think I read that somewhere, but for good reason in many ways. And this is an interesting one because I hear more and more about the AI search engine element, that because more and more people are using AI to just look things up, right? It's they there is there that is a trend that's happening. I even do it. So
Yeah.
what's the landscape here? What's changing? What are you seeing with this?
So the first thing to understand too is recent numbers said that there were about 8 billion AI searches last month. There are 13 billion searches on Google a day. And so the landscape is very different. And also if we look at our avatar people are older generation who aren't very technology savvy. And so it does actually, that's a huge factor into it. And so that being said, AI is actually escalating things so quickly in our industry too. And it's that so the search volume is a lot lower on AI comparatively. Now it's huge every day, every month we get a new report. It's like 10% more or like in major increases in how many people are searching. So it is fast, it's fast moving and quickly increasing. But something that we have seen is results on SEO a bit quicker because AI is picking them up quicker. And AI and SEO, they're about 70% the same. There's 70% the same tactics, the same things, because how Google looks at it is they wanted to find the most relevant people, the most real data for the clients, and have a good user experience. And that's what AI wants. Now, AI will go, like we've actually seen it, AI will go search like 5 different platforms. It will look through Yahoo, it will look through Bing, it will look through Google too. And so you want to be showing up in all those, but it's not just using Google's data for it. And so that's why it's about 30% of things that you need to change and focus on that are not that. But I would say that, so we had a client that last year made $500,000 on SEO side of things, SEO and AI stuff. We were shocked when we got the numbers that 25% of that $500,000 was AI. And it's just because it is picking them up quicker. SEO traditionally has been like 14 to 16 months to really ramp up and get into a great spot. And it starts overtaking even PPC ROI. But with AI, we're seeing it happen faster. And it's just because AI is actually diving in and doing a lot more research into this, while Google has a huge database of websites that it's needing to read. And so there's a lot. I mean, I even have like hack trainings of how to make you show up in AI quicker and how to use their algorithm for your advantage and what sites to be on and everything. But AI is helping change the game, as in speeding up a lot of this stuff. And then ChatGPT just rolled out its PPC product on it, and so we're gonna be having to be doing ads on ChatGPT, on Gemini, and all of them as well.
Oh man, this is just going to be a never-ending pool of places you could look.
Yep.
I've been trying to figure out some of it for myself. You know, I've got a book out there. I've got some things, and I've yet to really crack the code on the AI engine. I'm not sure. That's my skill set. But
Let me give you one quick hack. Do a
please,
press release. So just like pressrelease.com, PR.com, or
PR web,
yeah,
all those.
PR web, that's it. All of those. Those are like those hacks, I guess you could call them right now. That just escalates things quickly, but it's not long term. It is like a quick little win.
And so let's combine these two, the sort of AI SEO side and the PPC for a minute. Now, if you at what stage would of an investor's lifespan, because you've got, broadly speaking, I would say most of us look at the investment community, and you have your new beginnings, the people who are starting out, and they really should be focused locally and just getting going, right? Don't go nuts. Then you've got the people scaling up. And then you got the people who are really established, strong business, scaled, doing tons of deals, right?
Hmm.
Those guys, they've cracked their code for the most part. It's the middle ground that we all have the ability to help to move faster. So
Yep.
if you were if you were gonna take someone who's starting to scale, starting to do more deals and wants to aggressively push, is there one angle you'd put, is there a better starting point, or does it just depend? Like, is the PPC side of things an easier, because it's an easier entry point, because presumably there's relatively quicker reaction from it than the SEO long game? Or what is your general advice when someone's just starting to get into this game and wants to go?
Yeah, I've always said that, like that brand new investor, PPC is not ideal, even because it's a high costing thing. I'm like, go PPL, maybe even direct mail is an earlier step than us. But then once you really get your feet under you, that's when PPC can really gain a lot of momentum. And for SEO, I say it's just like the real estate term is, when was the best time to buy a house? 10 years ago. When's the second best time? Is today. And it's kind of the same thing with SEO, because it takes a while. Now, people who are just getting into it, I say get a few deals under your belt through PPC first. Really get that up and running, make it so it is like at least getting 2 to 3x ROI, just so that way you can continue affording it. You can actually keep your business going. You're not actually drowning on other ends, and then really build into SEO. SEO, we typically do start a little bit after PPC, and that's just because PPC can be direct revenue pretty quickly. Like I said, SEO traditionally has been like 14 to 16 months until the ROI starts overtaking SEO, I mean PPC. But the crazy thing is, we have a client who's getting a 19x ROI on SEO, and it's just because he just has to pay our management fee for us to keep him in front of the right people, putting out all the right stuff and everything. He's not paying per click like he is on PPC. And so the PPC is actually like a 5.5, which he was loving, but the SEO has just overtaken PPC. And so he reallocated some of his budget from other sources more into just ensuring with the AI growth, that he is also ranking on AI.
And I mean, where would you I mean, this is possibly an unfair question, but there I'm allowed to, it's my party. But no, you've got direct mail, you've got cold call, and you've got TV, you've got all sort radio, you've got all sorts of channels. Where would you sort of place this kind of the digital marketing realm, the serious digital marketing realm? Where would you place that in your in the life of an investor? Like, at what point would you say it's now time to get serious around those channels?
Yeah, I always say it's about third. Third is when I actually recommend people get into it. First is like cold call, cold text. I mean, of course, doing that stuff. Now, some people.
No cold text.
Oh yeah, yeah. Especially with the new stuff. I guess I should say that's an old tactic that we have seen kind of dropping off. But even just reaching out to audiences and those type of things. Then getting into most people PPL. I mean, if you are the sole person and you're a hustler and you're really good on the phones, PPL is a really strong place for that. And then direct mail is about getting out there to, and you can go target by neighborhood. You can be doing the right things for that. And that kind of starts growing some of the stuff. Now, direct mail also has some drawbacks of sometimes it takes 3 or 4 months for those pieces to start working and everything. But typically, even around the time that you do direct mail, PPC should be in there. Now, PPC, we do run into, I mean, sometimes it's $200 to $400 cost per lead in an area. And so that is actually not fun to swallow that pill, is just because it is expensive. But then I would say that's where we surveyed over 100 different real estate investors, and they spend more on PPC than anything else. Even the top most successful people, is they are spending more there because they are seeing the return. Since we look at the data, we actually pay attention to the cost per contract is a big deal that we put in place that we want to track, because cost per lead is whatever. If we can get the cost per contract down, that's where it's the most important for these type of numbers. And so I would do PPC next, and then SEO, like I said, is a short one after that. But don't expect SEO to bring you in leads in the first 3 months, because most people start on page 80 on Google. Even if we increase you 10 pages for every single month, then you're not getting results for 8, 10 months.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, even with anything, one of my fundamental advice that I give when people ask me about marketing in general, is you almost any of the channels can work if you stick with it.
Yeah.
And like, I think part of the lesson people need to learn is, real estate investors, we all have a little element of the shiny key to us, and we like to look around and kind of look at what we're missing. And actually, when it comes to marketing, consistency breeds results. And so whichever one you're gonna go down, my fundamental advice is always, look, pick a lane you're gonna stick to,
Yeah.
because sticking to it, in my opinion, matters the most. What do you think?
I agree. Brandon, how he loves data. One of the things he sent us last week was he actually went and evaluated every single account and how long it takes to get to their first contract. And it was pretty interesting, just some of the data that it's not working in the first month for some clients. A lot of clients, they still do get their first contract pretty early. But I recommend, yeah, you stick with other, even if it's direct mail, it does kind of compound on top of each other with TV too. It's about that branding play, about getting more information. Sorry about that. And so it's to us, it's very much that it is, you need to stick with what you're doing and let it grow. Google says that it takes 3 to 6 months for their algorithm to really understand who your users are, who we're targeting, and who they should be like spending more of your budget on. And so that learning phase is one of the most critical things for us. And so I also agree with that it's a big deal for all of us.
Fantastic. Well, listen, Glenn, it's been an absolute joy to speak with you. Before we end, um, tell everybody a bit about, how you guys can help them. What type of customers can you help the most, and how do they get in touch with you guys?
Yeah, I would say the people that we work with the most, and we actually start really helping them grow beyond where they're at, is people who are doing 10 to 20 deals at minimum a year, and then up from there. And that's just because at that point you are able to afford, you do have a little bit more time that you can put some more money into this and let it grow. And we work through those learning phases. And so I'd say those type of investors and the people who are understanding that it's not going to work day one. But really where the good results are, we see that like in around month 10 is where people start just killing it on there. And so now some of our clients pick up in the first few weeks, others it does take longer, but month 10 is where it's just like a really strong thing. And so we recommend long-term people who are willing to spend long term. And then how we can actually help is, I mean, we have audits, of course, and audits are, let us look at your numbers. Let us tell you how they are in industry averages. Let's say like, we can tell you where some of those gaps are in your sales process, in these numbers, see if it's a marketing problem or if it's a sales or follow-up or systems problem. Beyond that, that's something we love to do, is looking at people's current setup and saying here. And so we have SEO or PPC audits that we run. And then SEO will tell you like, hey, you're missing all of this stuff that really you can do on your own, that you could start ranking better on SEO too. And of course, most people look at that and they're like, I can't do that. So then they love to find an agency like us who can help them. And so we can at least point you in the right direction. And if it's not right for you, you sign up and we can help you out there. And so the best way to get a hold of us is just batemancollective.com. If you do want to go straight to the audit page, it's get.batemancollective.com/RELP. And that actually is just a sign up to get an audit. And so that audit page is a quick, easy way for you to talk to somebody, see what we just would jump in. Those people would look at your account and understand what is happening and where you can improve your numbers, even if you're running it yourself.
Fantastic. Well, I'll make sure that we put in those links into the podcast description, the YouTube page, all of those sorts of things. Glenn, absolute delight to speak with you. I know I'm going to be seeing you probably in a few weeks in person, which I'm looking forward to. And thank you so much for stopping by and giving us a little wisdom today.
Thank you for having me, Jordan. I appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to another amazing episode of That Real Estate Tech Guy. Head over to thatrealestatetechguy.com to check out all episodes and get special discounts on tons of awesome real estate technology platforms.